So today we've got a bit of a content warning because I decided I wanted to talk a bit about Eugenia Cooney. So the content warning for this will be extreme eating disorders, anorexia, and grooming, I think, are the main ones that I can really think of. So, don't watch if you don't want to, and if you do want to stick around, alright, great. I also have a disclaimer to give for this one. So everything I'm going to say here is purely my opinion based on what I know and the lived experiences that I've had. So don't take my opinion as unquestionably as like a fact. Draw your own conclusions. And the second disclaimer, I'm going to be kind of harsh in this ramble, but I truly don't wish any harm to Eugenia, and I want nothing more for her than to become healthy and live her life as her best self. But there are other people who are getting harmed in this entire community, who are the ones that I really want to talk about at this point. So, there's a quick little warning, couple of different disclaimers, and I'll just get right on into the video now. Alright, so, hey there people, pals, and potato skins. I'm Avery, and today I have a pretty serious topic that I wanted to talk about. So I've already put up the disclaimer, but I do want to reiterate, because I know this is a really intense topic with some really intense feelings, that this is just my opinion. I'm not trying to lead a crusade against anyone. I'm not looking for any sort of deplatforming. It's really just sort of an opinion piece. And, anyone is entitled to disagree with me, and that's fine. If you're gonna leave a comment, if anybody watches my videos to leave comments, just be respectful to all opinions, or at least as respectful as you can with such a high intensity topic. So, thank you. Alright, so Eugenia Cooney. I'm pretty sure she's still relevant because I've heard that she's been on the recommended tabs and sometimes on the featured page of YouTube, but I don't ever go to those pages. And I only ever really learned of Eugenia in the first place through other people talking about her. So I do want to make it clear that I haven't seen any of her actual content, partly because it makes me really uncomfortable, and partly because I don't want to kind of contribute to any attention and views. And, you could look at this video and be like, oh, but you're giving attention, but, it's not like I'm even noticeable anyway, so, I don't think it really matters. So Eugenia is a YouTuber and a live streamer, and I think she does YouTube, and I think she does Twitch. But instead of her live streams and vlogs, the thing that she's most well known for is her appearance. Eugenia is severely underweight. I'm not going to show any pictures here or in this video at all, partly because I'm a little lazy when it comes to rambling videos like this, and partly because I want as few triggers as I possibly can in this video. So, she's pretty average height, but she's about 80 pounds. So you can kind of get into your mind how small that would be. So Eugenia, she has a cute style. She's kind of e-girl looking. I really do dig it. I like how she dresses. I like her whole aesthetic. But it's kind of hard to really appreciate that part when you're so busy looking at how thin her wrists are or how much her collarbone is popping. So it is relevant because Eugenia does clothing hauls and try-ons, and, they're almost never really focused on the actual clothing. A good amount of people have actually accused these hauls as being excuses to body check, or really a lot of them use her filming in general as an excuse to body check. So if you don't know, body checking is an obsessive and even subconscious behavior that focuses a lot on how you look, typically on how skinny you are. It tends to show up a lot in people with body dysmorphia and with eating disorders and other disorders that focus on your physical flaws, big quotations and flaws. A couple of examples are trying to fit your fingers around your wrists, feeling up your collarbone, or when it comes to filming, especially with Eugenia, it's putting the focus on parts of your body such as arms, legs, and again the collarbone, because collarbones are a big thing. When you are really losing weight, your collarbones start popping out, and I guess it's a huge signifier of how much weight you've lost, but at the same time a little, I don't know, weird looking, I think. I don't know. So I've seen some creators who don't think that she actually body checks, but I definitely disagree with these people. I don't remember exactly who they all are, but when I was kind of going into this, it was probably a couple years ago now. I know that there were some people who were like, "Oh no, she's not body checking," but I really disagree with that. I've seen enough of her streams that I know she keeps an eye on the viewfinder almost the entire time. And while some people argue that this is just to make sure she's in frame and all, but Eugenia has been doing this for 11 years. Like, seriously, I looked it up. She really shouldn't have to look at the viewfinder that much. So I'm not trying to accuse her and be like, "Oh, you should stop that," because like I said, it's a subconscious tick. It isn't really something you can control. My wife has had pretty much every eating disorder you can think of before I met, mainly anorexia, bulimia, purging, and binging, and she does agree with me on this one. She sees a lot of kind of what she experienced and what Eugenia is doing when it comes to the body checking. Another way that we can really see this with Eugenia specifically is in her thumbnails, something that a lot of her critics point out. Again, she has weird parts of her body in focus, so if she's talking about a shoe haul, she's sitting and holding up her entire skinny leg instead of just showing the shoes in detail. So almost her entire leg is what's in frame, and then the shoes just kind of there at the very, very edge. And when she's doing makeup reviews, the camera is looking down kind of at her chest and collarbone instead of at her face where the makeup actually is, which I've seen somebody point out where like you can barely even see the palette that she's holding up because the camera is so focused down. And this is clearly, she's been doing this for 11 years. This is not just sloppy thumbnailing. This is on purpose. Another one that's been pointed out a lot are when she has vlogs with her dog, and the camera, when they're walking especially, focuses on her legs instead of on the adorable tiny doggo that the vlog is supposed to be about. So from what I know, she mostly focuses on streams these days. I don't know what she streams, I think video games, but she'll be on stream on camera for like 8 hours at a time without eating and even without drinking a lot of the time. And I know that a lot of streamers aren't comfortably eating on camera, and I do get that, but the fact that like she won't even drink, and there was this one time that she was having a coughing fit and had to kind of convince herself, oh yeah, to take a sip of water to see if that would help. Like, you know, you're not just depriving yourself of food at that point, it is also of basic hydration that we can see on camera. So, especially talking about those streams, there's definitely a few things that are a little bit more sinister that goes on there. One of the major controversies that Eugenia's streams have been involved in is some grooming moderators. So I don't want to go too much into this, because as far as I know, the mods have been outed and they're gone, and Eugenia, despite the public thought on it, was not actually aware of this when it was going down. There was one point that her underage fan wrote to her saying she was dealing with a harasser, but she never specified that it was one of Eugenia's mods. Personally, I do think Eugenia's response was lacking. The fan said she was scared, couldn't take part in the streams anymore, didn't want her to forget her, and Eugenia just kind of said that she's sorry it's happening, like maybe contact the authorities if it gets worse, I won't forget you. And I mean, I don't know how Eugenia remembers all her fans anyway, but you know, that's sweet. But like, yeah, good on her if she does that. But when you're 27, although when this happened she might have been like 26, but it doesn't matter, like, you're an adult and you're supposed to be somewhat responsible. So I do think that, I mean, you can make the argument that just because this girl was a fan, that doesn't mean Eugenia needs to be responsible for anything, and that is true. But I think as the adult in the situation, she was responsible to do something, just like any adult who's approached by a child who's being groomed has some responsibility to do something. And I know it's not like a legal thing and everyone's morals are different, but I think this is just, you know, like the past 6 years or something, as a mandated reporter, I just think that every adult really should be a mandated reporter. If you ever see something going on with a child, or a child comes to you, you need to do something about it. So I think Eugenia could have handled that better. She wasn't at fault, and she didn't have all the information, and then when she did, the mods were kicked. So that's I think kind of the end of the situation, you know, like, all right, we're good with that. One of the major creators who's made videos on Eugenia, aside from Onision, but we're not going to talk about him because I don't need to sully my mouth with any of his antics. That sounded weird, but you know what I mean. Is Belle Vision, also known as Belle Aubrey and Pastel Belle. She's gone through a couple of name changes. She hasn't commented on the situation in a long while because she got a lot of backlash for her views, but I do remember watching them when they first came out. Belle has a recovering eating disorder. I don't think she said what it was, and it isn't my business to really say it out loud anyway. But it is important to know because it does show where she's coming from. She wasn't just an outsider judging someone with an ED. She has experience and some knowledge about what might be going on with Eugenia. So, and my wife, as I've mentioned, also does have a past with EDs, and we have talked a lot on this entire topic. So, to sum up all of Belle's videos, she basically calls Eugenia out for several things. Mostly the body checking and, a little something else that involves adults that I'll get more into when I talk about what I think could be changed. She also talked about the moderator situation, and from what I remember, she did misrepresent. She did misrepresent it a little bit. There we go. But she did issue a correction in another video. Belle's opinion is that Eugenia is basically monetizing and broadcasting self-harm, and that she's a danger, partly because of the sketchy mods and people in her streams, because there are still some creepy people who hang out with her, but also because she's a terrible role model when it comes to health and can trigger people with EDs to relapse or go even harder into the disorder. Belle said that she thinks Eugenia should be age-restricted on Twitch and YouTube. This is important because a lot of people claim that Belle thought she should be deplatformed, and therefore thinks that all mental illness suffering people shouldn't have a platform. But yeah, none of that is true, and even the idea that Eugenia's behaviors are in any way equal to every single other person with a mental illness is a pretty big stretch. But Belle doesn't want Eugenia to be deplatformed, it's just that she should be age restricted and basically doing a protect the children deal. And I kind of agree with that. But first, there was something really kind of stupid that I saw people doing when they were criticizing Belle. One person was like, she keeps bringing up her eating disorder. Like, you know, that's just how her eating disorder. It's like, well, yeah, because one of her points is that people with eating disorders might relapse because they watch this. And because there are people who just get recommended Eugenia, even when they say, don't recommend this channel to me, I've had that happen with channels before too. Not Eugenia's, obviously, but I just thought it was something that was funny when they're like, oh, she keeps bringing up her old eating disorder. Like, yeah, because that's kind of one of her big points. But anyway, so let me explain why I agree with the protect the children, you know, oh, think of the children sort of thing. Because I do have slightly different reasons that Belle articulated in her videos, at least to my memory. I do agree that when she streams for 8 hours and refuses to eat or drink, that is monetizing self-harm to an extent. But that is a hard thing to prove, so if you disagree, that's entirely legitimate. I don't think that there's anything that can be done about that in any way. It's just kind of like, I mean, I think that some streamers, like the ones who do the, what is it, like +1 sub plus like an hour streams or something, I feel like it's more than, or like less time than that, but they end up going like 24 or 48 hours on stream, and that I also think is monetizing some self-harm. So, you know, I guess there's not much that we can do about that one. But I want to talk about the weird thing that I mentioned before, because this is my huge reason of why I think Eugenia needs to be kind of cracked down on when it comes to age restricting. So in almost every single stream, Eugenia shows off her outfit, takes a step back, bumps into a huge plastic tub, and we're putting quotations around bumps, and then goes, oh, I forgot to move this again, guys, I'm sorry, and drags the tub like to her bed out of the way, and then she gets paid. And this happens all the time, like at least once per stream. There are compilations of this, and it's disturbing for a reason. So this is a fetish, an anorexia fetish, and yes, that is actually a thing. I've read a few posts on Reddit and such of people who are out and about with this fetish. And it's disturbing to read, honestly. A YouTube channel of of herbs and altars did a deep dive into the fetish, and it includes some of the stupidest and nastiest short fetish stories that honestly make me ashamed of writing smut in my free time, because there's none of what goes on in those in anything that I write, but it's still just like, ooh, you give smut writers a bad name. I will be sure to link the video in the description. There's also a full page about it on, and I hate saying this, but myproanna.com. Anna being anorexia, and pro being, well, it's people who want to be anorexic and want to stay that way and want to get smaller and smaller. Anyway, while Eugenia won't admit to it, she does actually fit nicely into this community, the Pro Anna community. On top of that, I'm not going to go too far into it because I'm actually trying to lose weight right now, and it does give me some bad thoughts about, oh hey, maybe that would actually help because I've been having such a hard time with it. But so I don't want to go into it, and I haven't been going into it recently. When I kind of learned about all of this stuff, it was before I had gained any weight. So a lot of Eugenia's social media posts include quotes that are similar to what a lot of Pro Anna people use. So she'll like, oh, it doesn't matter what other people think of you, just as long as you think you're beautiful, and stuff like that. Which, I mean, like, it sounds, okay, normal, what you would expect to see on something like that, but you have to kind of take into context the fact that she won't admit to being Pro Anna, but I think we can kind of assume that there's no real way that she couldn't be at this point. So the fact that she is as small as she is and using the same kind of quotes that you would see on something like that. And then there is at least once she used a blue butterfly emoji, which is like the logo of Pro Anna, and she claimed she just likes blue butterflies, but I mean, I don't know, I don't think it's possible for her to not know the connotation, but at the same time, Eugenia is honestly kind of sheltered, so. But anyway, back to the point, she feeds fetishists. And then the fetishists feed her because they give her food. So there's really no disputing this. I really don't think so. I'll find a video that covers it because, again, I don't want that kind of thing in my video. I really don't want those triggers hanging around on my channel. But yes, I will have one of the people who does a compilation somewhere in the video description. Now, normally, I wouldn't kink shame, because kinks are fun and interesting, and, whatever, you do you. But this is one of those fetishes that are actually harmful, because it requires people to be starving themselves. When it comes to what Eugenia is providing with that tub, is being a small, frail girl who's trying to move something big that can be heavy. That's kind of like, they like watching the abnormally thin women and girls struggle to do things. And she knows this. That's one thing I'm not going to concede on. I'm not going to compromise on. Eugenia knows what she's doing. And you can really tell if you check out whatever video I'm looking at. Her acting is horrible. Like, oh, sorry guys. Oh, I forgot to move this again, guys. It's just awful, and you can see her glance around to make sure she runs into the tub before she starts backing up. She knows that she's getting sexual gratification from the weirdos who get off on watching her die. That is why I think Eugenia should be age restricted. She is aware of and even servicing the people who come to her for sexual gratification on stream. And shouldn't that automatically put her into mature content? I believe so. And it isn't only weirdly sexual, but it's also exposing the younger girls, the big part of her fan base, to the idea that they can make money this way. Okay, just keep getting thinner and thinner and guys will start paying you. You can start making a profit off of your own mental illness and your own eating disorder. And of course, sex work is real work. There's nothing to be ashamed about, but the problem is with it being unhealthy and requiring you to be unhealthy. And that's where the problem is. It's like doing sex work for cocaine is not good. Being anorexic to do sex work. That's not okay. That's not okay either. So there is also a problem in this case with how implicit this is. Eugenia, if Eugenia or anyone were out and honest about what they're doing in this situation, I would have respect for that. I'd be like, okay, maybe I do disagree with the fact that this isn't, it's not the healthiest thing, and morally I don't think I can support it, but it's your life, whatever. She's like the same age as I am. I can't really tell her what way to live her life. Obviously can't do that for anyone anyway. But she won't. And she won't, because then she'd be age restricted, and most of her audience, or a good chunk of those, most of her audience is made up from those fetishist and underage girls who use her to feed their own pro-Anna mindset. And I honestly find this behavior disgusting. Not because of the sexual intent or anything, but how she's showing this off to children without disclosing that what they are seeing can be harmful. That it's sexual at all. It's dangerous, and it's heartless of her to continue doing this. She is purposefully putting, or maybe not purposefully, but she is knowingly putting these ideas into these girls' heads. And, I don't know how someone can't understand that at this point you are a role model. You are an important figure in these girls' lives, especially the ones who are looking up to her in a way with the eating disorder. It's kind of part of being an influencer. When you're an influencer, you have to start taking some form of responsibility to be a responsible influencer anyway, which I think everybody probably should be. And so I genuinely want Eugenia to get better. I really, really do. But at this point, she knows that she's a bad influence. There's no way she doesn't. But she isn't changing, and she's just going on with it. And I don't exactly care anymore. I care about the people that she's influencing who won't get the help they need, people who will get the idea that they should or need to be the same size of her, the people who will get triggered by how YouTube and Twitch push her content. And when it comes down to it, I care more for those kids than I do a 27-year-old who continues to perpetuate this self-destructive behavior. Okay, so that got a little heated, but I do still stand by it, that I mean, in comparison to the bad that she's doing, I just want Eugenia to go away. I don't know. But I swear I do care, and if I didn't worry as much about the kids, I would have a great amount of sympathy for her. I mean, I have sympathy for her no matter what, but eating disorders are a mental illness. They're miserable, they're deadly, they're a truly difficult journey to overcome. It's been years since my wife started recovering, but we still have to keep an eye on her to watch out for the tendencies and watch out for the emotions that come along with relapses. It is so difficult, and I can't even imagine what Eugenia is going through for so much of her life. I can't imagine the mental strain, and I definitely can't imagine the health issues that she must be experiencing, even though she of course won't admit to having any health issues. There are also some weird things about Eugenia's past I could go into, but I'm not going to, because I would have to do a lot more research to make any definitive statements, and again, this is just more of a rambly video. I might come back to it sometime, but for now, there are other videos that have information if you want to watch them. Or, honestly, if you found your way to my video, I am sure you've come from those ones anyway. So, you probably already know. But what I am sure of is that she has a weird relationship with her mother. I'm not going to speculate too much on it because I don't know enough, but I do believe her mother is a huge enabler and may even be the main motivation for Eugenia to continue on this path. It is horrible for a parent to stand by and watch their child slowly starve themselves to death, and I can't even begin to describe how sick this woman must be and how sick she makes me feel. She could get Eugenia help. She could encourage her to go back to inpatient, to anything, but she doesn't. I've heard some people speculate that she doesn't want Eugenia to get better because she won't be as popular and won't make as much money. I don't know, obviously, but we have definitely seen parents like that on YouTube all over the place. So at the same time, like, it wouldn't be the most shocking thing to happen on the internet. Granted, they don't usually have that much power over the 27-year-old kids. That's kind of weird and very concerning. There are some really weird clips of them interacting that honestly make me uncomfortable to watch, too. So, I guess kind of ish, we're in a conclusion area. I don't think that anyone is ever going to restrict Eugenia's content. It doesn't matter how many people bring it up, she makes too much money for these companies. So what should we do? Some people try to show support. Clearly asking about her health isn't helpful. She's recently started to get a bit more pissy with people who do. And to be honest, I commend her for how long she's been pleasant with people and being like telling them not to worry. It's still, not great that she's kind of lying about it, but she's only just now started to get like rude back, I suppose. But self-harmers are notorious for hating when people try to ask them about their health. It's something that I went through too. You want the sympathy and attention, but you don't want to be pushed into recovery. And like I said, I've engaged in self-harm as well, and that's definitely kind of the way that I saw it, and a lot of the ways that other people deal with it too. Other people on Eugenia's streams, they stick around and try to draw her attention to good things about her. Maybe to get her mind off of the, people who are there for her ED. They can be like, oh, I really like your style, or your room looks cute, or talk about her makeup. And I think that can help on a smaller scale, but it doesn't do anything for someone with a platform and so many people watching as Eugenia has. She gets her money from her ED and not from her cute aesthetic. So I kind of think we need to let her go. We need to start ignoring her. If the platforms won't restrict her, then the viewers need to. If you have any concern for Eugenia, you need to just leave her alone. And I know it's scary, because what if she gets worse off camera? Well, she's going to get worse anyway. She's going to get worse on camera otherwise, and we're all going to have to see it. There's nothing that we can do. Giving her views is doing nothing but enabling her. She needs to be away from all of this. When she came back from rehab, she needed to stay away from social media. And social media that is likely responsible for her relapse, which of course we can just go ahead and give good old Shane Dawson the credit for that. Her friends might come back if she's kind of off and doesn't have the people, or as many people enabling her. Her friends might come back. They're the ones who helped her in the first place. I know that she isn't interested, but if she's cut off from the rest of this attention, maybe she'll be willing to listen to them again. And at the very least, if you stop watching, you won't be enabling her ED anymore. She may continue doing it, but at that point, it is out of your hands. You are doing what you can. You giving her attention will continue this cycle. It's just... It may seem heartless to let her struggle alone, but I do think it's the best thing. The attention is what's harming her. The attention is something that's really motivating her and has been motivating her for the past 11 years that she's been on YouTube and on social media. And at least if she's gone, the people she's affecting have a chance at recovery. At least if she's gone, then those people who are going to her for thinspo, they won't have her anymore. Maybe they'll get something good out of it, even if Eugenia doesn't. Eugenia is a hard subject, and I'm constantly torn between sympathy and anger. She's a victim of mental illness, and very possibly her family as well, and certainly the enablers on the internet. But she's also harmful to other people who have more of a chance at recovery at this point. We need to start separating her illness from her sweet personality and see how the illness is affecting everyone. Alright, I think that's all I have for this one, at least for now. I'm just got kind of tired of writing the script, because it's a tiring subject. I know it's a difficult thing to talk about, and there's a lot of pieces I didn't cover because this isn't a deep dive video, but I do hope I've made a few good points, or at least have been able to explain how I feel about it, and what we can do to help both Eugenia and her underage viewers. The fetishists can go get their own help somewhere else. I don't know. Well, despite this sucky topic, I hope you all enjoyed, maybe at least the drawing part. And I hope you have a fabulous rest of your day, and I will talk to y'all in the next one.